for group affiliation. Each statement made by the participant shall be limited to 3 minutes or less. The board will listen to all who speak, but generally do not engage in discussion or dialogue at this time. Matters requiring follow-up will be directed to the superintendent. Okay, it looks like we have two tonight. Mr. Tony Milton Berger. Did I say that right? Okay, thank you.
Opportunity for long-term development. And when it comes to our capital athletic needs, long-term development is going to be a need. And so this is the first attempt of what we hope will become an annual event to bring invested community members together, dress up real fancy in your favorite black or gold outfits. It is, in fact, a themed dinner. It'll be plated, open bar, tables, sponsored, the whole deal. It's going to be an opportunity to really support. We have a guest speaker from Ohio State, former tight end Rory Nickel will be there. I'll be emceeing the event. Mr. Hahn will share a little bit of our athletic vision, and we're really excited about the opportunity to gather a bunch of invested community members in a room and celebrate Centerville athletics and hopefully plant a seed for what is to come. So if you'd like more information or to get connected, go to elkgala.com. That's elkgala.com. You can purchase tickets there. You can also email me any questions you may have, Tony@twmilt, that's TWMILT.com. I'm happy to help share more of the vision or take you to coffee. And with that, I'll surrender the rest of my time.
Our next speaker will be Paul.
Good evening, Paul Sefchak, Washington Township, representing me. The board selected SHP to design and convince the taxpayers of the necessity of building new schools. Their 110 professionals will be tasked to convince the taxpayers that new facilities are the only solution. The board has stated that they want citizens to be involved. Involved, yes. Vote, no. The proposed date for voting to fund the new schools is May 2027. If you are sincere in securing the public's participation, schedule that vote for November of 2027 when most people go to the polls. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is board administrative reports. Dr. Graff, it looks like you're up with legislative.
Thank you. Good evening. Before I start talking about specific legislation, I wanted to start with just a broad overview of what's happening at the State House currently and what the rest of this year might look like. According to the legislative team at the Ohio School Boards Association, they are currently tracking more than 260 bills that are in the General Assembly impacting public education. So that is a lot to cover, and that does not include some of the health-related bills. That does not include any of the property tax-related bills. And we really have kind of between now and July for most of the activity to take place. And then the General Assembly is going to have a little bit of a break in April and May for the primaries. They will have another large recess from July to November for campaigning. It does mean that our representatives should be home in their districts and more available for meetings and things, which from an advocacy standpoint, we hope would be a good thing. Then they will return after the elections for the lame duck session in November and December. What happens then really is going to depend a lot on the outcomes of the elections, how much they try to force through, and those large Christmas tree bills and things that we saw last year. So things may happen very, very quickly, which sometimes is not super conducive with meeting and having this report once a month. Things get lost. So I would just say that I am kind of working with some folks to try to figure out better ways to keep the community updated on a lot of what's going on and provide more opportunity for our community members to reach out to their legislators and tell our stories, because I think it's going to be crucial the next several months to do that. Any bill that has been introduced in this General Assembly but that does not make it through the House and Senate by the end of this year would then have to start the process over again in 2027. So they really kind of have to put much in. Last week, Governor DeWine did give his State of the State address. In it, he mentioned several education-related topics. Some of them were Department of Education and Workforce, or ODU, is going to create regional science of reading instructional implementation teams made up of trained experts. They listed as the sole focus being on helping K-12 schools to fully execute the science of reading programs in their classrooms. This group is also with assessing schools who have implemented this program for their compliance and the effectiveness of that, which is the primary focus of those. They do discuss adding 50 Read Ohio coaches this fall to the existing 97 coaches that exist. That should add about 70 schools to the 151 that are currently served by those coaches. ODU, with the help of their regional ESCs, is going to offer free Read Ohio coach training and credentialing to literacy coaches who are already employed by a school district. They're also going to launch a new statewide attendance dashboard in April that will provide real-time attendance data that will allow parents and the public to have simple, fast, and transparent attendance data each week for every day. During his speech, interestingly, I just thought it was an interesting discussion he had. He did encourage the legislature to pass House Bill 304, which we've talked about a few times, because that's the local bill that would expand the physical education waiver to those students who are in club or individual athletics. That was not his rationale for encouraging the passage. He really focused on the provision of the bill which would double the amount of recess time for schools from 30 minutes to 60 minutes per day, which I thought was very interesting with the dynamic of trying to maximize educational time as well. So that was kind of his final state of that. The House Education Committee has had several meetings. They've been fairly busy. House Bill 661 we've talked about a few times. It had its fourth hearing. This is the bill that would prohibit the name, image, and likeness compensation for high school and middle school students. At the same time last week, Phil Plummer and one of the other representatives actually introduced House Bill 745, which would allow high school name, image, and likeness compensation, but it has specific requirements. So requirements for board policy and what would have to happen for students to be compensated. So it will be interesting to see what shakes out between those two. House Bill 125 passed out of committee, and we'll go to the complete house. It expands excused absences so that a school district shall consider a student in any of grades K through 12 present at school during school hours when they are participating in scheduled school-sponsored or workforce preparation activities that have been approved by the district. Mostly this was developed to kind of consider 4-H and FFA activities and programs as excused absences for students. But also would include athletic tournaments, field trips, internships, shadowing opportunities, and any other activity approved by the district from an attendance standpoint. House Bill 531 had a third hearing. This is the bill that would allow schools to receive support, services, and programs, which is how it's listed and is very broad, by a volunteer chaplain. It requires the school district or the school to vote on whether to adopt a policy authorizing acceptance of a volunteer chaplain beginning with next school year. Those chaplains would have to submit to a criminal background check, and it would require them to register with the Department of Education and Workforce. And then each district or school would have to develop requirements and procedures to implement the program. One of the other interesting bills that is out there is in the House Arts, Athletics, and Tourism Committee. It's House Bill 697, and it had a second hearing. I thought this was interesting for our district just because Several districts provided proponent testimony last week. It declares the right of a public or non-public school to broadcast middle or high school postseason or playoff interscholastic athletic contests or competitions in which the school's team is participating. And it prohibits any organization that regulates the interscholastic conferences from entering into an exclusive broadcast agreement that would prohibit a school or a local broadcaster from broadcasting them. So things like when we've had our teams in some of the playoff competitions recently, it would permit our school broadcasters to broadcast those games. So that may be an area that some people would like to support a bill that they would like to reach out to. So I thought that was an interesting one that may be really positive for our district. I also want to just mention that next Tuesday, Mrs. Crippen and Sparks and I are going to attend the OSBA Annual Legislative Day in Columbus. This will give us a chance to hear from the OSBA legislative panel and some experts there, the director of the Department of Education and Workforce, members of the leadership from the House and Senate Education Committees, and Governor DeWine's going to speak briefly. Sparks was also arranged for some meetings, especially with Senator Blackshear and hopefully Representative Young. So I expect we'll have some great information to bring back from that next month. OSBA selected just a handful of the topics that they feel like are moving forward for us to kind of focus on. And I did bring, so what they produced for us, and if anyone is interested, happy to get copies of these. They produced one-page legislative topics for any of us that are involved on each of these bills to kind of help shape the message as you reach out to legislators. House Bill 455 is the Education Omnibus Bill that we've talked about. That's got some actually really pretty good language. It's the bill that addresses some of the graduation rates that we talked about before. Senate Bill 328 is looking at career exploration in middle school and expanding that a little bit. Senate Bill 311 is the Senate Education Omnibus Bill. There are a few more concerning parts of that OSBA is working through with the Senate leadership. So there's some more talking points there. Senate Bill 144 revises grade control for teachers again to 3 bands, pre-K to 5, 4 through 8, 12. And OSBA has a few requests for that one also. Senate Bill 19 is that mathematics improvement plan bill that's been out there for a little while, and it's got some other parts that have been added and some amendments related to the Ohio Revised Code. House Bill 473 is picking up a little bit of steam. It would prohibit public employers from paying employee retirement contributions to Ohio's public retirement systems through certain pickup methods. It seems to be dependent on who you talk to as to whether or not that will move forward or not. House Bill 684 would change how the territory of an educational service center is determined. And then the other big part will be last year at the legislative day, we talked a lot about the biennial budget for the state. This year it will be discussing the 27-28 capital budget and capital reappropriation. So things like funding for the Ohio Facilities Commission, OFCC, and some of those projects. So there's some talking points about advocating for continuing to fund those areas as well. So it should be a very full day. Again, here are our local legislators if you ever want to reach out. And I'm always available if you have questions or would like to submit testimony or reach out to legislators. They need to hear our personal stories and connect it to our district in order to feel compelled to move things forward. So thank you very much. That's all I have.
The next item on the agenda is the student board reps report.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Zahir. I'm a senior Student Board of Education representative. And today I'll be presenting to you about something that I've been working on for close to 2 years now. And I'm very excited to present it. So I've been working a lot and thinking about, or when I reached here, I noticed that students have great ideas. They have things that they want to say that are effective. And teachers also want that feedback as well. So there's a gap in between there. There's a gap in between what students are wanting to do and teachers really understanding that. And in order to fill that gap, I found that the best way to do so would to be by establishing a channel of communication. And this channel of communication would be a survey that students would fill out and would go to the teacher and the teacher only. Now, the survey does effectively three main things. The very first is that for teachers, it helps them understand the needs of their students. It gives them the opportunity to really understand what their students need and change and acclimate their classroom accordingly. It gives them more control of their classroom. Second, for the students themselves, it first gives them a voice. That is the biggest thing that we as student board representatives are working to do, to give students a voice in education. But second, it also gives them a valuable skill that they'll use later on in their life, a valuable skill in giving constructive feedback to their teachers. And in doing both of this, we reach the third thing, which is that it fosters a better schooling environment as a whole. It fosters a better environment in each and every classroom, which in turn creates a better environment at Centerville High School. Now, just to clarify a few things, this feedback form, after talking to many teachers, many people in general, I realized that teachers don't want impositions. They don't want things forced to them, but in fact, what we should do is empower them. And to do this, I had the opportunity to present to the department heads as well as the unit principals about the importance of student-to-teacher feedback forms and how valuable they are in the classroom, so they are willing or able to use them in their classrooms and utilize them. And we, as student board reps, could help them with this. And again, just a clarification, this stays solely between the student and the teacher and has no impact on the evaluation of teachers as a whole. And you've seen, and there's tons of studies showing that first, student feedback is valuable, but it also saves the teachers time by ensuring that they have the right lessons. So all in all, this improves this experience of students, teachers, and the atmosphere at Centerville High School. Thank you.
Yeah, so we're pretty excited about that program. We also did a Candy and Comments session this month, so our questions were a lot about what Mahir was talking about and how students can effectively communicate with our teachers. A lot of students said that they feel comfortable talking with their teachers. There was a group of responses which kind of included conditions to that agreement, like it sometimes can feel awkward if they talk to their teachers. It depends on who they're talking to, like the topic, just a lot of different things that might make it more difficult in certain situations. But this is important because as Mahir is talking about, we're working to kind of facilitate those people who might not feel as comfortable going up and talking to a teacher, give them the chance to share their ideas and give their feedback. On a different note, we were looking at kind of like best thing that CHS has done for students, which is a really kind of a positive thing. And a lot of responses talked about helping students find their community and just like either through like classes or extracurriculars, maybe sports, block programs, people found friends and groups of people who they felt supported by and who helped, shape them and make them happy. And that was quite a nice thing to hear from our students. And then our third question was about shout outs for teachers. So two teachers that were pretty consistent were Mr. Ukes and Mr. Schooler. They kind of did a really good job as far as we could tell connecting with their students, and students felt pretty engaged with their teaching style. So yeah, it was a lot of positive things from our students this quarter or month. Right.
I will just say that sitting in back of Central and doing Candy and Comments, especially around third quarter, there's a different atmosphere with the students, and you can really tell that they do find a sense of community, whether that be freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors. It's very interesting to see how these students have developed as I see returning faces doing Candy and Comments and people who are completely new. It's definitely a very eye-opening experience. But the last thing that I would like to talk to you guys about tonight is the spring OSBA conference that Samantha, who is not here tonight, and I were able to attend. And although we were not personally doing anything necessarily at this conference, it was really interesting to be able to meet board members from other districts. And someone who really stood out to me was a board member who started serving on his board at 20 years old. And that was very interesting to me to show how you can serve your community, whether or not you are still in college, which he was, or whether or not you're a mother, a father, just someone active in our community. So I will just say that going to that conference was definitely a highlight of this past month.
Any questions? Okay.
Other questions, but will you report back after you have feedback from the survey?
I would love.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, we're very interested to see where the next steps are.
Will you guys be collecting, cause you said that the feedback from the students will go directly to the teachers. Will you guys be collecting feedback from the teachers as to how they appreciated, what they learned, what they were able to change?
Yeah, so do you want me to forget the we're actually trying to gather group of teachers that are willing and volunteering to help us. And all we ask from the teachers is exactly that.
Okay.
If they tell us if this feedback actually helped. And if it did, then we can take that and say, hey, it helped all these teachers. It can also help you. So the goal, the vision is to have as many teachers as possible to incorporate student feedback in their classrooms.
Wonderful. I think it's wonderful. I think you guys are doing a fabulous job. And I think the teachers who buy in early, I think they'll learn a lot and they'll be able and willing to give specific examples. And I can see it kind of snowballing from there. So great job.
Good job. Thank you, guys. The next thing on the agenda is the OSBA Spring Conference update. I shall be giving that. I apologize, I forgot to print it out, so I'm going to read it off my phone. On Thursday, March 5th, Centerville City Schools hosted the Ohio School Board Association's Southwest Spring Conference. Mr. Bill Burns and Mr. Scott Gasaway organized the band to play during the social hour, and Miss Julianne Bernard and her orchestra students played during the meal. This was a great opportunity to showcase our strong performance art department. Student Board Rep Sam and Amelia volunteered their time with We Be the Oak to direct attendees to the check-in area. So you did have a very important job to people where they were going. After some brief remarks from OSBA, there was a legislative update and the award of Southwest Scholarship, followed by district and individual awards. The Centerville City School Board was awarded the A to Z Award, which is based on 26 different criteria, such as fiscal responsibility, community communication, and involvement in the schools. Megan Sparks earned the Training Award. All the comments were positive, and everyone seemed to enjoy the evening at Centerville High School, and were appreciative that we hosted. And that's all that I have on that one. Thank you. Okay, next, if there's any questions? Nope, good. Okay. Next is staffing updates with Mr. Turpin, please.
Thank you, Mrs. Sparks, and good evening. This is a condensed version of what I gave in the work session. For me to slide. Providing our community with an update on staffing, and these are large administrative staffing work that we've accomplished throughout the winter and during parts of the spring. Last fall, winter, and parts of the spring. So, since the start of the school year, our central office team has been talking with the board and our staff about the process of transition within our administrative staff and this transition with respect to ensuring quality leadership for the district now and for the future. So, this first slide provides a summary of our work and accomplishments to date in this area of staffing. So, the first two items are items that were done this past fall. Mr. Trevor, who is here this evening, selected as the Director of Human Resources. HR department and to transition next year. Replacing Mr. Chirino as the secondary curriculum director is Mr. John Carey, who is the current coordinator principal here at Centerville High School. Both of these positions were posted in early part of the fall and both completed in November. To was completed in the winter, senior Mr. Carey here at Centerville High School's coordinating principal was a process in which Mr. Jenny was selected as the for Centerville High School. We concluded that work in January. Also in January through February, we finished work on a special ed coordinator for Centerville High School, Mr. Sean Roach, replacing Mrs. Kelly, who retired after 30 years in public education. Mr. Roach is actually from Hamilton City Schools, and we'll be introducing him to the community at a building. Replacing Ms. Ross in the South Unit. The process is underway right now. Final for selection process will occur here tomorrow evening at Centerville High School. And our goal is to get some announcement for the spring recess. Also, still the month of March, which will begin after our return from spring, is an instructional technology supervisor, and that position will belong to Mr. Williams' department in technology. So, in summary, these positions were addressed early to ensure quality and stability through the hiring process. This process that we went through last year, we replaced administrative positions. It's the reason of qualified candidates is concerning and ways of public education, but especially in the administrative ranks where the candidates are fewer numbered than they are in teaching ranks. 2 years is the current retirement threshold, and weekly requirement. And threshold lowers the current rate of retirement, the current threshold from 34 years to 2 years. Change in threshold will continue to challenge the hiring and retention process. So, as I explained in the work session, the name again is going to be for transition and more transition, and a key as we transition to 26-27 school year, but for years to come. So with that, a big part of our transition process, as I've already alluded to, was the selection of a new coordinating principal here at Centerville High School. And so I'm happy to announce to the community that Mr. Chairman once again has been selected as the new coordinating principal, coordinating principal. So I can get her to so just to provide you a little bio of Ms. Roy. She's a 30-year veteran of the Centerville City Schools. She's a 1995 graduate of Lake State in health and physical education and also adaptive physical education. She earned a master's degree in education and athletic professions from the University of Dayton in 2000 and a principal's license in 2011. 2011, also from the University of Dayton. Sort of began her career with Centerville City Schools in the 1996-97 school year, teaching physical education at Stingley Elementary. Again, with the 1987-88 school year, joined here at Centerville High School to teach health and PE, position she held until the end of the 2022 school year. During this tenure, she served as both girls and boys volleyball coach, assistant to the athletic director as a site supervisor, principal designate at Magzig and Tower Heights Middle School, health and PD department chair, and principal designate in both the East and West units of Centerville High School. So, experience she had in the East unit was a special one. So, that was cool. She'll probably talk a little bit about that. So, June of 2022, Sri was selected as the South Unit Principal, where she has done an exemplary job as unit principal and contributing member of the Centerville High School administrative team. On January 29th, 2026, Ms. Reader enthusiastically accepted the role of coordinating principal. That is a significant part of our transition plan, as has been previously discussed this evening. Jen will assume the responsibilities as coordinating principal on August 3rd. At the same time, Mr. Carroll Mr. Carroll will assume duties and respective roles. So at this time, it's my pleasure to present to you Ms. Jen Riggle.
Thank you, Mr. Tarpey. Good evening, everyone. I am incredibly grateful and extremely excited to serve as the next coordinating principal of Centerville High School. As you've heard, I've kind of been here for some time, some years, and I've had the privilege of learning from many outstanding mentors. Mr. Dave McDaniel was my first coordinating principal, and he encouraged me to go into educational leadership. Mr. Dan Tarpey was the first principal that I was a principal designate with when I first started to do that. Mrs. Eileen Brewer also encouraged me to go into educational leadership, was my unit principal, and of course she was our coordinating principal here as well. Mr. Jeff Wolf was the second principal that I was a principal designate for just a couple years, but I got through that, and then I also am appreciative of Mr. Wesney and Mr. John Carroll. So each of these individuals provided guidance throughout my career, and I am thankful for the lasting impact to me as an educator, leader, and as a person. I believe in our strategic plan, and I'm committed to empowering and challenging and supporting our staff and students to grow every day. I'm looking forward to working with all of you, our administrative team, our staff, our students, and our community members to continue the tradition of excellence and to keep moving our students and our school forward. Thank you. Go Elks. Thanks for time.
Thank you, Ms. Rita, and good luck. I will be sharing Alex in the 26-27 school year. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay, it looks like next on the agenda is Student Services, Homeless Public Nurse, and that's Mrs. Durluck.
Good evening. All right, so every year we have to talk about homeless. It's a notice that we just need to discuss, make the community aware of. You know, as excellent as Centerville is, we do still have families in the district who become homeless at different points in time. So on this first slide, it really just looks at how Every Student Succeeds Act defines homelessness, which means it can be camping grounds, shelters, public places, bus, train stations, and shared housing. Any student that is not in a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence would actually be considered homeless. So on the next slide, it actually shows what those definitions are. So it's that predictability. Adequate is giving it like what you would think of as a traditional, when you go home at night, this is where I am, this is what I get to do, and it is predictable and it is stationary and permanent. So all of those things are what define, you know, if they're not getting that, then they qualify as being homeless students. On the next slide, I just put up here, these posters are around in all of our buildings. Even as I was walking in here tonight, I noticed on South's countertop is the poster for homelessness. It's supposed to be in a place that's easily accessible to students and parents so they can ask, they can get the information if they need it. I did cut off at the bottom. It gives my name and contact information at the bottom, and then it gives our state liaison also on there. School selection. So this is always a little bit interesting because when people become homeless, they don't necessarily get to stay here in Centerville. It might be like if they're going to end up doubled up, it could be that they end up in New Carlisle, Ohio, instead of Centerville, Ohio. So what's important is that we're keeping our students consistent with their education. The school districts work together to try and determine where that best place is. Most of the time, I'm going to tell you, the students remain here in Centerville. So that comes up to the next piece, which is transportation. As their district of origin, we are responsible for their transportation. We have to get them to and from wherever they are staying back to school and get them here on time. Our transportation department is excellent. It is always a challenge. Districts are now, because we have so many students that are either in foster care or they are homeless, and we do not have enough buzzing to go and send them. If they're in New Carlisle, you're looking at a good 45-minute drive at least, just by car. So to send a bus isn't always the best idea. So now sometimes we are having to contract with private transportation companies to get students to and from. Any of those companies that we do contract with are vetted and their staff members are vetted. So just so everyone knows about that. Our numbers stay relatively consistent over the years, right? What doesn't stay consistent is the number of families that are affected. With our numbers staying consistent, we have been as low as 12 families affected to this year. This is the highest I've ever had it. We have 27 families that are affected. So still we're at 31 students, which is not a big change in any of the time. However, it is a big change in just the number of families that are actually affected in homelessness right now. For most of our families tend to be doubled up. So they are often staying with relatives. From time to time, we have students that are staying in hotels. Right now, we have one that is unsheltered, 3 that are in hotels, and 27 that are doubled up. So, when they're doubled up, they're usually staying with family or friends. And, they might be what I consider like couch surfing. So I might do a couple weeks here or a couple nights here, and then I'm somewhere else just so I don't use up that relationship, when I don't have a permanent place to stay. Do you have any questions?
And because you brought up foster care kids, if a child's in foster care and they get 18, they get kicked out of foster care, would Centerville still be their district because the foster care home
not graduated from high school, then they are still our responsibility to educate.
So their foster home would not be it would be considered their permanent house.
It would still be considered, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we would work through those situations with them.
Okay.
Knock on wood, we haven't had that yet, so please don't speak it out loud.
How far are these families spread out? Because you said we're responsible for the transportation, and you alluded to having to contract with private transportation companies. So how far distance-wise are we talking?
So right now we're not too bad. We're all pretty much within this area. Sometimes you'll get Miamisburg and everything. We have went before as far as Piqua and Sydney, and then we have also had some that have been in Cincinnati. So it kind of depends. We look at that though. Sometimes we can meet buses places too. So again, our transportation department, I can't speak highly enough of them, and working with others and saying, okay, is there a location we can meet and try and do that. The thing with our homeless families is usually they are not homeless for too terribly long. Like they become homeless and then, they're able to get into a fixed place. But when I say too terribly long, I mean it can take several months. It just depends on the reason why they became homeless.
Does the age of the student drive school selection at all? I mean, just from a practical perspective, so you're dealing with.
It does not, because we know that anytime a student makes a change in their educational placement, that is going to put them behind. And so, even here, if we switch buildings and our buildings are all, our curriculum department leads us very well and we're all following the same curriculum and the same outlines, teachers still teach at a different pace and different, we have different things occur in classrooms. So anytime you make a change like that, that has a tendency to put students behind. So usually it's looking at what the parents' plan is and where that is kind of going. Like if they're really thinking, hey, I'm not going to be able to get a place and this is where I'm going to be. And it's, 45 minutes away and they are 8 years old and 45 minutes there and 45 minutes back just isn't the best idea. Then we would, at that point, look at a different placement. And that transition, we have to enroll them. Like if someone comes here from another district that was homeless and it's decided they're going to come here, we have to get them enrolled like in 24 hours. It's a quick turnaround.
Got it. And this isn't just a homeless issue, but like, for example, no access to internet, right? While do we make accommodations there? Do we have ways of providing services in a way like the library? I know it has like Wi-Fi availability. Is that something that's like
we have done that in the past? Mainly that came up a lot during COVID, where we really learned about families not having some access and everything. And so there are some hot spots that we have in the district. So I would work with technology in order to get them what they need so they would be able to do what they need to do schoolwork wise. Other questions? All right. Thank you.
Looks like what's up next is the treasurer recommendations. Consider approving the February 2026 financial statements, monthly general fund rolling report, monthly cash reconciliation, monthly fund activity report, then and now purchase orders approved by administration, certified by the treasurer, and supported by the board resolution totaling $90,900.70. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second. Ms. Albert, could I have the roll, please? Kathy Crippen?
Yes.
Mrs. Birnbaum?
Yes.
Dr. Graff?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Megan Sparks? Yes. Consider approving the minutes of the following Board of Education meetings: February 23rd, 2026 regular meeting. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Can I have a roll, please, Ms. Albert? Kathy Crippen?
Yes.
Mrs. Birnbaum?
Yes.
Dr. Graff?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Megan Sparks. Consider approving resolutions authorizing the filing of original complaints against tax valuations, pursuant to revised code 5715.919 for the following properties: parcel number 0671782100002. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Ms. Sauber, would you like to say anything about this?
Yes, this is one additional police complaint that we're filing. We did 3 last month, if you remember, at the February board meeting. This is a commercial property that the appraised value is higher than what the county auditor has it listed. We only ever do this one time a year in the February-March timeframe. It's very few properties, and it's only ever commercial properties. We don't ever do this with residents.
Okay. Thank you. May I have the roll call, please? Kathy Crippen?
Yes.
Mrs. Birnbaum?
Yes.
Dr. Graff?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes.
Consider approving a resolution accepting the amounts and the rates as determined by the Budget Commission and the authorizing of necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor for the tax year 2026/2027. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second. Okay, is there any conversation about this one?
This is an annual compliance piece with the county auditor. It's just certifying the amounts and rates of our existing levies. There's nothing additional here. It's everything that the community has supported in the past. And again, this is just an annual compliance piece with the county auditor. Thank you. May I have the roll call, please? Kathy Crippen?
Yes.
Mrs. Sternbaum? Yes. Dr. Graff?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes, next we're over to superintendent recommendations. The superintendent recommends accepting resignations as listed on Schedule A. The superintendent recommends the employment, change of employment status, or change of contract status for the certificate personnel listed on Schedule B for the salaries, programs, and on the effective dates given. The superintendent recommends the employment or change of employment status for the support staff personnel listed on Schedule C for the salaries, programs, and on the effective dates given. The superintendent recommends the employment of the personnel listed on Schedules D and D1 for supplemental contracts or extra duty assignments. And the superintendent recommends the gathering of leaves of absence for the personnel listed on Schedule E for the reasons and on the dates given. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Ms. Salvin, may I have the roll call, please?
Kathy Crippen?
Yes.
Mrs. Sternbaum? Yes. Dr. Graff?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Consider approving an urgent necessity for controls, unit ventilators, and the rebuilding of VAV boxes at Magsic Middle School due to failure of the current system. May I have a motion, please? So moved.
Second.
Could I have the roll, please?
Kathy Crippen?
Yes.
Mrs. Sternbaum?
Yes.
Dr. Graff?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Consider approving a district's control upgrade to the building automation systems through the Equals Purchasing Quote. Oh my goodness, sorry. For, how do you say their name, Mr. Bible Energy Systems for all Centerville City school buildings. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Sauber, will you call the roll, please?
Kathy Crippen?
Yes.
Mrs. Sternbaum?
Yes.
Dr. Graff?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Final comments regarding past or old business from the Board of Education? Seeing none? Okay. Pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G1, I hereby move that the Board adjourns to executive sessions to consider the employment or compensation of public employees of the district and Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G2 to consider matters required to keep confidential by the federal law, regulations, or state status. No other business shall be conducted except to come out of executive session to adjourn. Can I have a motion, please? So moved.
Second.
May I have the roll call, please?
Kathy Crippen?
Yes.
Mrs. Sternbaum?
Yes.
Dr. Graff?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes.
What a great joke to end on too.